All right. So I'm gonna give this another try. I kind of did it initially as like a VOD review style, but I want to kind of make it more of a theory video, explaining this kind of theory, how it relates to this composition from Bobby Wasabi, how it relates to this composition from Drifters, and kind of using that theory to highlight a really interesting set play that Drifters pulled off. So taking a theory video and kind of putting it in the frame of a really, really fun, really interesting Contenders match. So we're going to start just kind of explaining the theory, what it is, and what I want to cover with it. So, all right, I'm going to put my run here. All right, so we'll go out here onto this side, kind of see. So the theory that we're going to talk about is called the triangle theory, for me. It's what I've been calling it, right? It's kind of a theory on the best way to function as a dive comp or any kind of split comp, right? Any split like ball comp or dive comp, anything that wants to come from angles rather than like a death ball, is gonna kind of use this idea that I wanted to talk about. So kind of more like a tactical video here, I guess. So what this is that in any given situation, or like this idea, any given situation you're setting up a dive should always have 3 different points, at least minimum 3. So depending on heroes, sometimes you can have an extra one, but usually 3, creating a triangle of where your engagement zone is, and your back point of the triangle. The back point of the triangle that's furthest away from the enemy team is your backline. So what should your stable backline be? All right. And we'll take this composition from Bobby Wasabi as an example. So we have the Torb, the Echo, the Winston, the Diva, the Mercy, or not the Mercy, the Lucio, and the Ana. We're actually going to change it up a little bit because I think it's easier to explain with this kind of core comp, just a different change. We're going to make this a Tracer or Ashe, this a Mercy, everything else stays the same. So if we go into this, right, we will, so I don't have Echo, so Genji's just going to have to be Echo for this example. So we do that. We get Diva, we get Winston, we get Mercy, Ana, and we'll take a Tracer. And sometimes she's Ashe. So we'll put Ashe out on the sidelines there. She'll wait up here. So the theory is that wherever you are on the map, your Ana, your backline, so we'll call the Ana the backline, should be the furthest away. Whoops. I guess I should move her down. Should be the furthest away from the enemy team walking forward, right? And this is a really good tactic to use against rush comps, which is why it could have worked really, really well here for Bobby Wasabi, but we're going to talk about how Drifters with the rush beats it, right? And how you take this theory and you use it to your advantage as an attacker to know how the enemy team is going to play. So you have the Ana as a strong backline, right? She wants to be the furthest point in the triangle from the rush comp. It keeps her the safest, it lets her do the most amount of healing, get the most amount of value, and it provides a really nice ingress for her teammates to attack. So she should be the furthest point of the triangle, but her teammates should create 2 more points of the triangle that the enemy team would have to walk through to get to the Ana, right? And all this basically means is like controlling a choke, right? It's not rocket science, it's basically just says wherever you are, they should have to walk through damage to get to you. And it's especially with a dive, right? So we say here we have the dive, we have the Winston, the Diva, we have, let's say, the Echo, that's an Echo, not a Genji, Echo, Mercy, and the Tracer kind of acts as a floater, right? Tracer and Diva in this composition can act as floaters. She can play backline, right? She needs to sometimes play a little safer, and then Tracer can play with the Winston. Sometimes this is a ball, right? So you can play with that, and then this is kind of the triangle you have. So in any given situation, this rush has to rotate through the triangle in order to try to get to Ana every time. And what that allows is right as they hit this threshold, when any kind of damage comes in, then they can transition from this defensive position into an offensive one, and they can come collapse on the enemy team here. And sometimes the collapse comes in this form, which as they're walking through, right, the Tracer will split, go from the back, and the Diva will kind of push forward ahead of the Ana, because the Ana's safe if the engagement's happening down here, kind of push forward and get into the brawl, and just try to win the fight this way with your Ana still getting value, and then being able to put the numbers and the damage on the front line so they can't rotate, right? And the entire time that this is happening too, you should be putting damage on them before they rotate to make it even harder, right? So as they're trying to rotate through, the Echo's constantly poking, right? This is constantly harassing, doing damage. Ana's even doing a little bit of poke, making it very difficult. There's like some soft dives if you want to go in the back line, things like that, right? But when it comes to transitioning into attack, then it all collapses in, right? That's kind of the general play. From there, we kind of get the rest of it where wherever the Ana is, since she wants to take and be the furthest person away, then the rotations have to accommodate for that. So if we look at a situation here where you have, you know, let's say you have like this square point just as a kind of false, or we'll not even do that. I don't even think we need to make it a square. So if they want to get to the Ana here, right, say on a map there's a clean rotation up this way, up and around, right? As it comes up and around and tries to come here, the logic needs to be that Ana needs to move further away from where they're going to end up, and then the others move closer to where they're going to end up and re-rotate the triangle. So in this instance where the Reinhardt is trying to push up this way, the Ana can rotate back over here, while these guys rotate up here, and these guys rotate here. Right? So you had a rotation this way, rotation this way, rotation this way. And that still keeps the solidity of the triangle, and means that as the Rein rotates and has to come out this way, he's in the same position, and the Ana's in the same safe position, and she can never be touched, right? That's the general idea of it, is you want to keep the Ana the furthest away, because it keeps it the safest, allows your dive to come in, allows poke to come in, and basically ensures that any composition that's slower, like a 6-man or a Rein comp, isn't going to be able to touch. Now this works with any composition, right? You want to create those triangles. The things about things with like ball or with like monkey is that they can skip this step. It's easier for them to punish the rotation, right, as it's happening, because in this rotation with a Rein, Ana has more time. Something like a monkey can just jump on top of it, right? So it becomes a little bit quicker, looking to get into the back line there. When you're running against like dive to dive, especially like ball comps, a lot of it is trying to use your two teams of rotators to break up their rotations and then punish their backline, right? So there's a lot more depth to that when it comes to different compositions, but at its core, a comp with a solid backline like an Ana Brig, or even just a solo Ana with a Mercy, is going to want to do this, right? And Drifters knows this, and Bobby Wasabi knows this, right? So this is where we're going to see a play of Drifters that's very, very intelligent on using this idea to anticipate the enemy team and punish accordingly. So we'll watch the play. I will be quiet. Normally I'm terrible at being quiet when it comes to this stuff, but I'll do my best.
To safely get over to the side room, and notice how they're playing this a lot more patiently. This is just their playstyle. They're not just diving in an aggressive way that we saw Bobby Wasabi do to start things off, and they're playing at a lot more of a distance, so it's forcing Drifters to take these smarter rotations.
Bobby Wasabi needing to kind of counter a little bit with these rotations that we saw from Drifters. They're just redirecting constantly, and that makes it so difficult for Bobby Wasabi to position, especially for hydration.
Oh, the follow-up attempt though with the wall, that was amazing, and they still cleaned up shop. That was a Wasabi sandwich.
There you go. Really, really smart, right? So that's the play. So let's kind of break down how it happens, right? What we're looking at here. What they're bringing to the table. So we pull this back up. We start right, we're going a rush comp against this dive comp. Yes? So kind of same idea, same general vibe of what's going on. So, oh, actually I can just delete those. Oh, I guess, okay, I can do that. Delete all frames. All right. So here we're going to use just only 3 as the example. A Rhine, or 4. A Rhine to count as the drifters, and then this is going to be like a Winston Diva, this is going to be an Echo, and this is going to be an Ana, right? There's like a Brig involved and things like that. But these are kind of the basic parts about it, right? So, we start here. We'll break this down rotation by rotation. So we start, here we go. Up first, as they're coming in this way, right? We're going to see these triangles evolve. So first, we can see the Echo speedily right here. So we have speedily here. The Winston Diva's here. The Ana's playing back here, right? Pretty narrow triangle. Doesn't cover a lot of ground, but crucially, it covers currently every forward rotation from drifters. So at minimum, it forces them out, right? At maximum, speedily could come around here. The Winston could come around here. And you could create that triangle that way. For a really early pinch, but that wouldn't really net a lot of results. Usually, sometimes it can, but you could see this narrow triangle that they would have to push through in order to make any forward rotation, right? So that's what they have there from the side of Bobby Wasabi. The rotation comes through this way. We see the Winston go here and the Echo start to float here, right? And as they push through this way, the Echo is gonna go here, and I'll kind of explain that kind of flat circle there. Or the flat triangle there. So we see that coming through. Good rotation, or good wall to keep the rotation happening. They get here. You can see there's actually a Torb turret, which also helps. This is why Torb can work here, because that turret helps the Echo on that angle. But we're going to see Winston Diva here, on a break here, Echo here, boom. Boom, boom, that's the triangle we just talked about. And we can see the Echo moving back this way. Now, the reason for that is another idea that if everything is kind of a square, if you think about any angle you're taking as one side of a square, right? What you never want to be in a position where you are 180 degrees from your healer, especially if you're not a self-sufficient DPS like a Tracer. Tracer and Sombra are the only ones who can do this because they have tools to get out. But almost anybody else is going to want to be at least on a 90-degree angle from their healer, right? For safety. Because if you're on the 180, it's very easy for the enemy team to just rush on top of you and then box out the heals from behind. Super, super, super easy. It's a lot harder when it's on those 90-degree angles, right? So what happens here is as the rotation from drifters comes up here, instead of the Echo staying here, which would create a wider triangle and increase the area that they can dive and minimize the rotations of drifters, what ends up happening is that you could have drifters rotate this way, right here, and they could box out the Echo, and it would be a lot hard. It would be easier for her to be punished if she kind of gets caught on this angle. So she rotates this way, so she's a lot safer, right? Because like if Ana misses a shot or anything, this is a dangerous position to be. So we'll see the Echo position this way, and while it does create a pretty flat triangle, crucially, it's cutting off the rotation of the point. So that's kind of the big deal here. Then you'll see this rotation from drifters, right? So we see that here as they walk up. And this is where the interplay kind of starts to hit.
Notice how they're playing this a lot more patiently. This is just their playstyle. They're not just diving in an aggressive way that we saw Bobby Wasabi do to start things.
Just going, we're moving. I'm gonna turn down this a little bit. Ooh, that's up. So they go up. So finally they go up. Now this is where the interplay needs to happen. So we can already see the monkey was going here, right, to become the first tank, which is good for the rotations, right? Then the Ana needs to move. Now there is a little bit of miscommunication that we'll see with the supports, but it's not the crucial aspect of why this fight goes the way of drifters. The Ana decides to move this way. Now when Anubis is Ana, you generally have two options. You have, if you're here, right, this is another place they hold, but you have either the kite, there we go. You have either the kite this way or over this way. And the reason the Ana here is choosing this path is because if the Ana goes here, if we talk about, again, the idea of the triangle, as this is coming up here, the Echo has to be like here and the monkey has to be like here, right? but they can't really engage without using resources, so it's a lot easier for the rush to jump down and start putting pressure on the point, which once pressure is on the point, it requires action from the divers rather than the rest of the space here. The divers can pick and choose when they go. They have to make sure that point doesn't get unlocked, and because of that force, it's a lot easier for the rush to just get on top of the Ana and punish her, or threaten it, force the Ana back, and then she becomes useless. She can't heal here, and then you're running into issues that way, right? So the Ana decides, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to cede the point. I'm going to go to this platform. So Ana decides to go to this platform, and what that does is, if you're expecting the rotation this way, then you can keep your Winston over here and your Echo over here, or even your Winston here, right? Which creates, again, that triangle. And it's very safe, and the key difference is that if they get to point here, right, which can still happen, the Ana is super safe, and she really can't be pushed back and punished. They really can't be pushed back and punished. It's a lot easier for her to maintain that healing sightline. So she goes for that. As the Ana goes for that, they rotate down, and they catch. So you can see the Ana right here. They're right away going to push it. Because what they're looking to do is they're punishing that triangle idea of the Ana trying to stay the furthest away. Since she's the furthest away here, great. But as she rotates down this way, right, and this is the rotation happening, like even if the Echo is here, which I believe she is, which again, still triangle, still good, and the Echo can push forward, right? As the Rein rotates down and pushes this way, all of a sudden, the Ana isn't the furthest triangle point away. And the Rein doesn't have to go through that like bank of divers if, say, like this was here, right? Which that wouldn't be a good position. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that's how that triangle would work. He doesn't have to push through that line. He can get aggressive immediately without taking a ton of damage. You know, he's still going to take damage from one side, but his back is completely safe. Not taking a lot of damage. That death ball can just rush on the Ana, and especially with a Mei, like you see here, punish whichever way she goes. All right? So you use that idea of trying to stay the furthest point, and they quick rush and punish. You can see all the damage is from over here, right? And over here, they can stay protected from the one angle, but again, crucially, she's not the furthest away, or rather, she may be further than the Echo right here, but the Rein doesn't have to go through this triangle. You can just go right on top of the Ana. They go, they notice, they get a nice wall off. The Ana is in a significantly worse position. They come in, and they finish the kills. So it's a really awesome rotation from Drifters just to punish that idea. And that's kind of how you can take that triangle idea of how to position, how you can use it in your games, as well as how you can punish it if you're seeing the enemy team Ana using it, and how Drifters did a really good job, put on a great show, and had a really, really awesome play that totally threw a really experienced team for the loop.